Are these broken IMs?
Yeah, and they're all empty.
You mean these people are dead? Dead?
Yeah.
Tom, you and I got to check out the prettiest game at Summer Game Fest. It is called Orbitals. I'm sure people have seen some stuff around it, but it is a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive that is a co-op game. It is built entirely around co-op, and it looks stunning.
Yeah, it's actually from either one of the developers or some of the developers are actually from Hazelight, who have done It Takes Two and Split Fiction most recently. And it is in that vein, but what excites me most is how they're kind of expanding on that gameplay and the variety of things that you can actually do in the game. Before we get to that though, we have to talk about how this game looks. It is absolutely gorgeous.
It's crazy. So there's a lot of inspirations, but there's some ones that you'll probably notice just when we play footage. I mean, the big one being like Studio Ghibli. There's a lot of Studio Ghibli looking things to it. There's also Toriyama, right? Like some of the characters look like Toriyama characters, and also like 80s anime.
One of the things that they mentioned was the animation studio in Japan that they worked with that has worked on things like My Hero Academia and Attack on Titan, that have worked on a lot of modern anime, actually had to kind of go back to the drawing board and learn like old school techniques that aren't really being used in modern anime production and utilize them in this game. And I actually thought it ended up being a beautiful blend that simultaneously did look like something from that time period, but also had some modern flair and touches as well. And the two halves of the modern and the traditional blended perfectly. And then there were also moments that looked like something Christopher Nolan would have put together as well. Like the inspirations go beyond just that 80s anime aesthetic. And at no point did anything feel like it was clashing. Everything felt harmonious and created honestly something that I've really never seen before in any medium.
Yeah, and the way it transitions between cutscenes into gameplay, so it looks a little different. Cutscenes are hand-drawn, but then the gameplay obviously is three-dimensional, but it still runs at that, like, I think you said like 24 frames a second in order to give it that film look. I mean, I think the characters move at 24. I don't think the game itself runs at 24.
Yeah, it's running at like, 60, very smooth, but the main characters are running at 24, but all the background characters are running at 12 frames per second. Again, another traditional animation technique that is employed. So yes, the game runs smoothly, but it does look like a handcrafted animated film. On the gameplay front, what really excited me about this is, unlike in a Hazelight game where you pick your character and then you're kind of locked into whatever task that character is tasked with in the game, and sometimes you'll be doing something and you kind of get jealous of the person you're playing with. You're like, oh, the thing you're doing looks way more fun. In this game, you actually can pick what each of you is doing. You're not locked into a mechanic or series of mechanics just because you picked character A or character B.
It's tied to the tools you pick up. So, for instance, there was one where you had like a laser beam thing that this other node was following. We had to get it to the other side, but I had a grapple thing. So I'd like pull open paths for you to get there. And then at one point you had to switch to a different one, and I was like, okay, well, I'll take that one. I'll take the laser beam. So it feels a little more free form, but also I thought those puzzles were really clever. They were fun. They're nothing like, at least what we played, you're not gonna get stumped on them, but there's a little bit of timing you need to do, and there's a little bit of planning, and we still kind of had that aha moment where it's like, oh, this is what we need to be doing. Okay, I need to flip this, and then you can go, and it plays very well.
Yeah, nothing was too simple. It did feel like the right amount of time. Like, for example, there was one puzzle where we each had a different colored button, and the inputs on the screen, it was like, oh, this color, I had to press it. The other color, Jake did. But then there were some times when we would press it that it would switch the colors. Like it would switch the colors on the screen, or it would switch what colors we were controlling. So we would get stumped of being like, oh, I'm blue now. Oh, now the blue thing has become like a cream color or whatever it was. And so you would stumble a little bit, but you would quickly move on. And yeah, it's the same thing from the Hazelight games, where you're doing one mechanic for just the right amount of time before you move on to the next thing.
Yeah, also said it was around, what he said, for most people it'll probably take you roughly like 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah.
But it depends on how quickly you solve puzzles. And also something that might take extra time is you can unlock these like little mini games in rooms as you explore these different worlds that have different activities that you and your co-op partner can do. There was like, when we didn't really get to see that, but when we first started the game, there's like the spaceship you start in, and there's things you can interact with that were kind of fun. You know, it adds like a level of play, I guess.
Yeah.
So it like lowers the stakes. Like there was one where I had to like mash the X button in order to, you know, those like punch machines where you like, they come down, and so I was pretty much doing that.
I was really committed to beating your score, and I did worse, and I didn't want to draw attention to
Oh,
it.
I didn't even notice.
Oh, I know, I didn't say
even
anything. I was like, oh shit, I was like 100. I was like 100 points lower than you. And the cool thing about all of that is that area, you're going to return back to it over the course of the game, and it will expand and change and based on things that happen in the story. So that's another different element here. In a Haze-like game, you keep moving forward, you keep moving through the levels, and you're going to have that here, but you're going to also return to this changing hub as well. So I just think it's very smartly looking at those kinds of games and saying like, what can we do differently? What can we expand upon? And then also, I'm really intrigued by the story, and there's this whole explanation for how the characters revive and their souls are trapped in these machines, and their bodies are kind of, I guess, like 3D printed over again.
Yeah, they like there's like an in-game reason as to why you respawn when you die, but didn't get super into it. We just kind of had the basis.
Yeah, and you are on a colony ship essentially looking for a new home, and there's a disaster that happens in the beginning that kind of leaves you stranded, and you've been stuck, it seems, in this kind of part of space for, the characters have been there for about over a decade, and now they're finally ready to go venture out. So I can't wait to see where the story goes.
And that was Orbitals. We actually have a preview we did a couple months ago on GameSpot.com. So if you want to know more, be sure to check that out. But in the meantime, stay tuned to GameSpot.